Okay, well, welcome everybody to this very important issue that we're going to dealing this morning regarding opportunities of our activities in India, a very, very important market for us. And we hope maybe the next few years, no more than 50 years, India is going to become for us like China, for example. Hopefully less than that. You have all the conditions to become a very important market for us, and we're working very hard to fulfill all the requirements, and of course trying to do our best in that regard. So welcome everybody. We have two very important speakers. Of course, Sharif is also going to give us a very important introduction to the Indian market, and later on, Vipul Mittal and Sumit Saran are going to complement with more specific issues related with the Indian market. So thank you very much, everybody. And let's start, and good luck.
Thank you very much, Don Roland. Gentlemen, I'm just going to do a very brief introduction in Spanish, if you don't mind, and then we'll switch back to English. Okay. Bueno, muy buenos días a este webinar Oportunidades y Desafíos del Mercado Frutícola en India. Hoy día contamos con dos distinguidos charlistas, el señor Sumit Saran, que tiene más de 20 años de experiencia en la implementación de promociones para distintos productos alimenticios en la India. El señor Saran es director de SS Associates, una consultoría en el marketing de alimentos basado en Nueva Delhi, India. Su compañía actualmente representa las marcas como Washington Apples, USA Pears, USA Cranberries, y de hecho también él estuvo a cargo de la promoción y difusión del kiwi chileno en la India el año pasado y antepasado. También el señor Saran tiene una vasta experiencia en el sector retail. Desde el año 2014 a 2018 fue el director de alimentos internacionales de uno de las principales holdings de retail en la India, que se llama el Futures Group, donde ahí obviamente estuvo a cargo de la estrategia de importación de varios productos, incluyendo los productos frutícolas. También es un gran privilegio para nosotros hoy día contar con el señor Vipul Mittal, que es el director o jefe de compras a nivel nacional de Big Basket. Big Basket hoy día es la principal cadena de retail online en la India. Vipul asistió al London School of Economics y está graduado en física de la Universidad de Nueva Delhi. Como le había comentado, Big Basket, que fue formado en 2011, hoy día tiene una facturación de más de $1 billón de toda su categoría de productos, y a continuación y más adelante el señor Mittal nos va a explicar la estrategia de esa gran cadena de retail, tanto durante el periodo COVID y mirando a futuro. Quiero empezar, sí, para contextualizar este webinar con dar algunas cifras respecto a las exportaciones de fruta chilena a la India. Como pueden ver en este slide, aquí está la evolución de nuestras exportaciones en toneladas desde la temporada 2015-16 a la temporada 2019-2020 hasta la fecha, es decir, hasta ayer, 24 de agosto. Pero, por ejemplo, si tomamos la temporada completa, 2018-2019, podemos ver que se exportó 51.000 toneladas. Hasta la fecha, esta temporada, estamos en 32.000 toneladas, principalmente por la baja significativa en las exportaciones de manzana a la India. Pero a su vez, también podemos ver que ha aumentado prácticamente en un 34% las exportaciones de kiwis al mercado de la India durante esta temporada. Luego vamos a analizar más adelante las razones detrás de esta baja en las exportaciones de manzanas a la India, que no solamente tiene que ver con temas productivos y de mercado por parte de Chile, sino también algunos importantes desafíos que se ha vivido en la India durante este periodo de COVID. Si miramos, por ejemplo, ahora a los principales productos de manzana y kiwis, y quiénes son los principales proveedores, podemos ver, por ejemplo, de que en el caso de kiwis, en el año 2019, Irán exportó prácticamente 10.000 toneladas. Pero habría que sumar a eso las otras casi 5.000 toneladas de kiwi iraní que viene indirectamente vía los Emiratos Árabes Unidos. En segunda posición está Chile con aproximadamente 8.000 toneladas y en tercer lugar Nueva Zelanda con 7.500. En el caso de las manzanas, hoy día con un 22% de participación en el mercado están las manzanas provenientes de Estados Unidos con 53.000 toneladas, luego Italia con 21% y Chile en tercer lugar con 42.000 toneladas, que equivale a un 17% de participación de mercado. Nueva Zelanda representa un 8% de los envíos, de las importaciones de manzana a la India, y Brasil un 2%. El mercado total de importaciones de manzana a la India son en torno a las 243.000 toneladas para el año 2019. Y otra característica del mercado fundamentalmente dice relación con los aranceles. En general, los aranceles del mercado son relativamente altos para ciertos productos. Por ejemplo, para la manzana, hoy día las exportaciones están sujetas a un 50% de arancel, en el caso de Chile, y eso es igual para los otros proveedores de manzanas a la India. Ellos también los otros países también tienen que pagar en torno al 50% de arancel. Sin embargo, gracias al hecho de que Chile tiene firmado un acuerdo de alcance parcial con India, hoy día las exportaciones de kiwi de Chile tienen un arancel o están sujetos a un arancel de un 15% versus otros proveedores como Nueva Zelanda, Irán, etcétera, que deben pagar un 30%. En el caso de las exportaciones, por ejemplo, de cerezas, ahí tenemos una clara ventaja. Las cerezas estarían sujetas a un arancel de solo un 0% versus otros proveedores de un 24,8%. Y en el caso de los arándanos y las paltas, también Chile tiene un arancel de un 15% comparado con otros proveedores que tienen un 30%. Y quiero finalizar simplemente con mencionar de que nuestro sector está proactivamente desarrollando actividades de promoción en la India. Desde hace muchos años que estamos implementando misiones de prospección a no solamente las principales ciudades como Delhi, pero también hemos estado organizando misiones de prospección a otras ciudades como Bangalore, entre otras. Y quiero mencionar también la campaña de promoción que se desarrolló en apoyo al kiwi chileno, donde realizamos a través del apoyo de SS Associates promociones a nivel de cadenas minoristas o retail. Desarrollamos por primera vez una promoción online a través de la plataforma de e-commerce retail Big Basket. Hemos realizado talleres con medios de comunicación y distribuidores del sector. Hemos hecho promociones en los mercados mayoristas, que en el caso de India aún es un muy relevante canal de distribución. Y hemos desarrollado comunicados de prensa y gestión de prensa justamente para promover los aspectos nutricionales del kiwi chileno. Bueno, eso es a muy grandes rasgos una explicación de las exportaciones de fruta fresca a la India. Ahora voy a hablar en inglés. Now I would like to present Mr. Sumit Saran, Director of SS Associates, who will share with us his vision on the opportunities and challenges for the Indian market. So I will now let you share your screen so we can go ahead.
Thank you, Sharif. Just give me 1 second to share my screen.
Go for your life, not a problem.
I hope you can see the screen.
We can see it perfectly. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Sharif. Thank you for setting this up. It's a real honor and a pleasure to speak to all of you this morning. Unfortunately, we couldn't meet this year, but this is the best we can do. I actually do presentations for a living, but I get very uncomfortable on Zoom. So please bear with me if I make a mistake, because when I don't see who am I talking to, it gets a little tough, but I'll try my best. So just to give you a little presentation roadmap, I would take about 20-25 minutes to just walk you through what's happening in India currently with COVID and the fruit and vegetable industry. What's happening with the economy and consumer. And there are also a lot of changes that have happened in retail. And at the end, we'll look at some potential opportunities for Chilean products, especially focus on products that are not in the market or are in the market at a very small volume, and then look at the way forward. Just to give you a background on ourselves, we are a boutique consulting firm where we market international fruits and foods in India. We represent all these logos that you see on your screen, Washington apple, USS, American pistachios, US cranberries in India, marketing them. And we, of course, did a project for 2 years for launching the Chilean kiwi fruit, something that we as a company and also as an industry, we are all extremely proud of. Coming to the current situation with COVID, India is finding itself in a very unique position. We went into 100% lockdown on March 24. It was probably the most stringent lockdown anywhere in the world, which was brought in a notice of 4 hours. The Prime Minister announced at 8 p.m. that the country will be in a lockdown from 12 midnight. And the whole country went into a lockdown. 2-3 months later, what we are finding is that while India is fighting its way, it was impossible to continue the 100% lockdown because of the economic ramifications. And so India started the process of unlocking from June 1. And we are now in the 4th phase of unlocking. It presented the entire country with an unprecedented situation. I think also equally true for the globe, that none of us or even our earlier generations, at least till my grandfather has not seen anything like this. So there were tremendous difficulties that the trade faced, both at the port, at storage, at wholesale, at retail, because suddenly in a 4-hour, when you lock down, everything that was on water or everything that was in store just had an immediate shutdown. But Indian entrepreneurship took over, Indian enterprise took over, and we figured out a way. And we all believe that that India as a country and Indians as a community are destined to come out of this far, far stronger than what we entered. This is a data chart from today, from this morning. So if you look at the number of cases, we are around 3.1 million cases that has tested positive for COVID. We are, I think, number 4th or 5th on the total list of infected countries. Sometimes this red number gets a lot of attention, both in Indian media and global media. I would draw your attention to these other 2 numbers. This number is very significant. India is showing a recovery rate of over 75%. And this number is even more significant, which is that our fatality rate is less than 2%. it's not something that we are very proud of, but we as Indians, we grew up with bacteria and viruses. Every child in India, rich or poor, goes through multiple cycles of flu infection in his or her life. So we were very used to getting a fever and recovering out of it. And so I think the Indian immunity and the Indian way of life is now beginning to show that we can live with it. I think the initial fear that came along with it, even the consumers are and people are beginning to realize that it's, after all, it's a flu. While there is no backing out that we have to have all protection and we have to be as prepared as we can be. But the thing is that India is now out on the road moving and in the process of unlock. Some of the key trends that we are seeing, and I'm going to talk more generic before we come into the fruit industry, but even on the fruit side, one of the few key trends, and I think it's a global thing, but India is seeing that exact same thing, that healthy living and healthier eating is becoming a very, very key trend for people. You see many more people morning walking. You see many more people trying to eat healthy, many more people trying to make a change in their lifestyles. What has got into people's head is that if your immunity system, which comes from within, is strong, you will be able to fight this pandemic better. And that's why, and it's a no-brainer for people, that fruits are a key ingredient of that nutritional living. Unfortunately, there are theories galore. There are all kinds of, be it trade, be it doctor, be it medical, there are every single day, there are new theories about how India is going to react. My personal belief is that we need to look at on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month basis. This is not the time to look at and create business plans 5 years from now. I think this is a time for action. Tomorrow will be a time for hope, and day after will the time come for faith and future. What we've also seen is the importance of the neighborhood vendor. And I'll come to it when I come into the retail makeup. When I talk to a lot of people, they get a little confused. So what I've done in the presentation is actually put out pictures for people to see what I mean when I see neighborhood vendor. I also wanted to emphasize that if anything, this thing has shown that for the fruit industry, it's a time to realize that it's about partnerships. A lot of time, our industry, and it's a very small industry, we all seem to know each other, is that we get into trading mindsets, a few dollars up, a few dollars down. This pandemic has taught all of us that finally it's of course trade, but finally what matters is your partners, and what matters for an importer is his exporter, and what matters for the exporter is the importer, because that's the custodian of the product. And when Sharif mentioned the Future Group, one of the things that I had the honor of working with the owner of Future Group, and one of the things that I've learned from him, and it's something that has stayed with me, he used to always say that focus on what is controllable. Don't worry on the macro that you cannot control. And his simple mantra used to be keep working on consumer demand. If there is a consumer willing to buy your product, everything else will fall in place. So we've also seen that there has been a lot of winners. So while there is a lot of negative stories that travel, I think the vendors won. Even in this pandemic, the vendors won. The shopkeeper, the small, big, they won. They came out of this pandemic as a winner. The delivery staff won. And Vipul will, when he speaks, but Big Basket or retailers like them, I mean, these are not highly paid PPE kit wearing, but uh, highly paid staff, but they were no less than COVID warriors. Of these guys on a bike delivering every single morning. I mean, they were doing their service sometimes gets unnoticed, but these are part of nation building. The store staff, the small, big staff who came, big. I think the authorities won. The police guy, the guy managing on the street, the people who are trying to organize things in that pandemic, not worrying about their families, won. In fruit, there is a lot of times we get caught about in things like credit, etc. I think the daily cash flow model won. I think the old way of doing business won. And finally, new businesses. In this pandemic, a lot of people, including importers, have come up with new ideas, new businesses, and they're doing phenomenally well. And I think these are changes that are happening are structural and will change the way business is being done. And finally, I think the Indian consumer won. While we might be poor or I don't know, a second, third world country, whatever you might want to call it, but you would not have seen stores being looted in India. You would not have seen people rushing into supermarkets to create a panic. I think people got served of what they need. And at the end of that, there was no major consumer catastrophe that a lot of these, when I said the theories galore, predicted. So that's why I always say is that understanding India is not easy. It's very complex. And these are some of the pictures that I'll show you that will give you a hint. This is India. This also is India. And you can see the clutter, you can see the crowd, and you're talking 1.3 billion people. So it can never be easy. But the thing that you have to realize is this is also India. And this also is India. And all of this, my friend, are pictures from Bombay. So it's India in one city. And there are multiple cities like this. So that's the unique thing with India. And it also translates into retail, because this is also India and this is also India. And both these retail are maybe 3-4 miles from each other. So if you look at just a quick glance on India, and I'm going to leave this presentation so the numbers will stay with you. The important thing is the number of 250 to 300 million people, depending on the product you want to sell. While we get a lot of traction on saying we are 1.38 billion people, but depending on what you want to sell, 250 to 300 million people I envisage is a market for imported fruits. Maybe tomorrow, if you look for cherries, it might be 50 million. So that's why the India, that the consuming class needs to be defined very differently product-wise. And why I say it's complex is that I just put a picture of an Indian note. There are 22 official languages. So even on a 10 rupee note, the government has to say in 22 languages that it's 22 rupees. And that's how complex the market and the country is. And that's why I say that it's not a country, it's really a continent. It continues to be a strong economy. And most important factor to this is that it's an economy that is growing based on domestic consumption. You have 250, 300 million consumers, all unified by aspiration for a healthier, better tomorrow. I actually have a slide on the young population, but it's among the youngest populations or the youngest population in the world, with very small families, with high disposable incomes. I know kids out of college today making more money than what their dads made after 30, 40 years of service. And so that disposable young income in small families and young population is all recipes for for a very, very potent market. The media revolution is also that we are now part of a global economy. What you hear in Santiago or what somebody hears in or sees in New York, exactly what Indian consumers are seeing in Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, or even small town India. And that's the power that internet has brought in. And so international foods are becoming from niche to mainstream. I just wanted to come and highlight on the economy again that India was growing really rapidly, but the COVID has brought us down. But we all believe that India is going to come out of this and come out of this stronger than before. It took us almost 55, 60 years for India to achieve the first trillion. It took India 5 years to achieve the second trillion. And we are looking at growing to 5 trillion in the next 5 to 7 years. And the most important reason for this is that the transformation is moving from a farming community to a service-oriented industry. And so this year, there is predictions of 2% growth. There are some predictions also of negative growth, but that's all in future. And like I said, this is not the time. This is the time for action. This is not the time for predicting future. But in general, economists around the world have predicted the kind of recoveries that India will see, irrespective of whether it's a V shape or a W shape, wherein we recover right away, or we go recover and stutter and recover and stutter and then recover. Fact is that once COVID ends and once the pandemic ends, India is destined to recover. One of the very key things I'm seeing is that while there is, of course, uncertainty with jobs and incomes and all that, we are also seeing that people are not spending because they don't have avenues to spend. So you're seeing far more disposable incomes in hand, and that disposable income, a major portion of that is going towards healthy eating. So if you look at the numbers, every single major consulting organization in the world, be it the Boston Consulting or McKinsey or A.T. Kearney, has predicted India as to be the most dynamic market in the coming times. Why I say is that, and it's very important from a Chilean produce point of view, is that best is to compare India to Europe and the European Union. More or less, we are similar. And this is actually a slide that was made by a company called Third Eyesight. And then something that has really stayed with us is that if you juxtapose India to Europe, we are more or less same. Now, I can tell you that most Chilean companies don't have a European strategies. You don't have a strategy which is same for Italy, Spain, Portugal. You change or you maneuver your strategies according to regionalities and demands and consumer behaviors. That's a mistake that a lot of companies make, is that they treat India as one. And like I showed you in the previous slides, that diversification of idea is very critical. If I look at, just look at the number and just look at the green. This is how the middle class India is expected to grow. You're saying by 2025, 95 million households are going to be in the consumption bracket. Now, from 55 to 95 million is a huge number. It's like Germany getting added to a consumption bracket. That's the kind of potential the market has. And if you look at like a growing economy, most of our spend is on food and grocery. So one of the things that I wanted to say is that a lot of times bad images from India travel. And And the thing you have to note is that India is what India is. There is nothing artificial about it. So while you might be in Bombay and Delhi at the poshest location, you will see poverty stare in your face. But that's also the case that also means that when you travel into small town India, you'll get a lot of people who have affluence. So there are no rich cities or poor cities in India. Every city has its share of rich and poor. And the growth path for Chilean fruits will come when we are able to tap these consumers in small town India. If I look at retail, I just wanted to very quickly move you and show you some pictures that you will see. The two important points I just wanted to make. One is that if you see how the unorganized retail in 2017 used to be around 88%, that has now moved to about 75%. And the online economy has grown from maybe 2.5%, 3% to about 7%. But the two key takeaways is that the roadside small vendor and the unorganized trade is still a very important part of the pie. While there is, of course, tremendous growth happening in the modern retail segment, but the unorganized sector still has a very important role to play in India. So just to give you quick examples of what the roadside retail looks like, and this is like a small pushcart vendor selling Chilean kiwi fruit in Delhi. These are people, these small little trucks come into highly sophisticated neighborhoods every morning and deliver. And then you have these supermarket chains, the cash and carry chains. You have the specialty green grocers and the gourmet stores. Plus, of course, now the online stores and the e-commerce are becoming a significant part. And we have Vipul, he'll give you more detail on this. In addition, we are also seeing in the pandemic, when I was saying, we are now also seeing both in the physical space and on the online space, some of the extremely innovative solutions being worked out with Indian importers, something that we believe will grow in the future, something for the Chilean companies to keep an eye on. Then you have the hypermarkets and supermarket. We look quite similar to any other place in the world. You have the retail cash and carry. You have the green groceries. You have, of course, the online, which is really growing, and Vipul will get into more details. But the key message that I wanted to leave you with is that the fruit wholesale markets and small vendors will still continue to be a very important part of the Indian puzzle. Even a lot of modern retail and online retail will continue to buy from the wholesale markets and your importers. So they remain a very important and key piece in the Indian picture. Because when you look at the traditional trade route for an Indian product between the farmer and the consumer, you have 7-8 people. But when I look at the same chain in an imported, your product is just 2-3 steps away from the consumer. And in a lot of cases, the importer and wholesaler have now also become one. So you are actually just a step away from consumer. And when you have an online player like Big Basket, or the other online players, you are less than a step from the consumer. So the imported fruit are now becoming an extremely important category, and I believe that it will continue to grow further. If you look at Chilean fruits, I think on the trade level, we see now a major presence for kiwis and apples. I think one thing that I wanted to point out is that what Chile has achieved, I don't think any other country has achieved. The custom duties, that benefits that Chile has, and I've been working in this field for 20 plus years, I have not seen custom duty reduced on any product for any country, at least on the fruit side. So what you've delivered is amazing for Chile. It's just that there is time to take leadership position in certain fruits, and very important that you consolidate the gains. And kiwi fruit is probably the most glowing example. When Sharif and I met 2-3 years back here at a conference in Mumbai, it was a market that was given that it is a market that will be a monopoly for a brand. And in 2 years, the Chilean industry has completely revolutionized the kiwi fruit market. And this is, one, that we are extremely proud of what we have achieved on kiwi fruit, but more importantly, I'm still saying that we are scraping the surface. There is far bigger opportunities that wait the Chilean kiwi fruit. The two products that I wanted to highlight, which I think has huge potential. Again, the numbers are too small here, 250, 300 metric tons. But cherries is something that can have a huge, India can be your, like Ronald had said, India can be your next China. We just have to work on a model where you have to work with your right partner to figure out the best supply chain methods. And we have to work to get this word across to the Indian consumers about the availability of Chilean cherries. And it's a revolution that can wait, that can happen very quickly. Especially, and I can tell you, the cherry is an expensive product, and India has 0% duty for Chilean cherries. And I'm knocking on wood when I say this. And I hope it remains like this. And it's tremendous. It's a gain that must be consolidated. I'm also seeing extremely high growth rates for something like avocado. That again, I don't have data for blueberries, but the third product I wanted to bring to your attention would be blueberries. Again, Chile has a duty advantage on blueberries and something that you should definitely look at consolidating. So at the end, I'll just leave you with 5 pointers as way forwards. One is that don't worry on the troubles. You'll always see troubled pictures from India on your TV screen. The troubles will not go away in a country of 1.3 billion people, but the growth will come, the growth will continue, and it's for us to embrace it. It's very important that you choose the products that you want to promote and work on expanding I see a lot of time people get caught in the piece of the pie. I think the game lies in increasing the size of the pie. And that's where Chileans companies can come in and step in and create and take that leadership position. It's very important to have a clear market entry strategy based on research, based on data, and then follow it through. And like I said, I showed you the picture. India is beyond its metros. It's not just about Delhi and Mumbai and Bangalore. India lives in small town. And because the internet has brought, and the need for healthy, nutritive eating and demand for fruit, I see that the maximum growth can come in from small town India. Choose your partner very carefully. I think dynamics are changing. It won't remain the same trade that would be. These were my 5 pointers for trade. Just a couple from a promotion point of view. It's very important that Chile as an origin is registered in the mind of consumers. I don't think Indian consumers still are aware of Chilean. So while you have created a brand at the trade level, it's not has happened, and it's time that we work on the consumer level. And something that I can put my hand on my heart and say that India is not a place to burn firecrackers. You don't come in here with one big bang and then go away. The candlelight will work. So come in with a long term. In India, that is the only plan. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'll be open to questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sumit, for that very interesting presentation. Muchas gracias, Sumit, por esa muy interesante presentación. We would like to now introduce Mr. Vipul Mittal, the National Fruit and Vegetable Buyer for Big Basket Online Retail. Nos gustaría ahora presentar al señor Vipul Mittal, que nos va a hacer una presentación sobre la cadena Big Basket. Vipul, would you like to share your screen?
Yeah.
Por mientras que él lo está colocando, dos aclaraciones. Cualquier pregunta que tengan lo pueden hacer vía el chat. And Vipul, just a quick reminder, please speak slowly so that they can translate simultaneously. Thank you very much.
Sure. So, good morning, Chile. Hola. So, I'm very happy to be here today. And thank you so much, Sharif and Sumit, for pulling me into this very important and timely webinar. I fondly remember my visit to Santiago last year in May. And I think there are two, important call-outs after my visit, which I would like to make. We at Big Basket started importing directly from Chile after the visit. And I'm very happy to share that we have done almost 10 containers of kiwi fruit in the last about 14 months. More importantly, I think what I'm very happy to share is that we could introduce blueberries into India, some part of it through direct imports and some part of it through other importers, but very proud to say that we could sell almost 6 metric tons of Chilean blueberries last year. And if you look at the percentage contribution, then my sense is that some of these new fruits you would find have a very good traction amongst the online and the other retailers. Though, as Sumit said, I think the general trade in India is and will remain a very, very important play, because I think they are not as much about trade as they are about livelihood. And I think a large number of Indians depend on this livelihood. And so it's a nice interplay of online and the unorganized sector in India as it is emerging. Yeah. So before I take you through my presentation, I would request Sharif if we can play the small video on my company and what we do.
Perfecto. Podemos mostrar el video, but Vipul, you'll have to not share your presentation. So
Okay.
if you'd like to...
Yeah, I will stop sharing the presentation.
Sharing, yes. Y ahora sí podemos correr el video, por favor.
Big Basket, the online grocery marketplace, was founded in December 2011 by a team of repeat entrepreneurs. Hari Menon, Vipul Parekh, V.S. Sudhakar and Abhinay Chaudhary used this hands-on experience to establish Big Basket, which eventually redefined grocery shopping for the Indian consumer. Today, the company boasts of a presence in over 25 Indian cities, with about 60,000 products across 1,000 brands available on its website, ranging from fresh fruits and vegetables to staples like rice, wheat, pulses and oils, and even beauty and makeup products. After raising an investment of over $500 million to date and still counting, the team believes the best at Big Basket is yet to come.
Muchas gracias. ¿Pueden dejar que Vipul comparte su pantalla? You can share your screen now, Vipul.
Yes.
Great. We can see it.
Just a minute. So Big Basket was founded in December of 2011, and today we operate across 25 cities in India. And we do a monthly orders of 10 million plus. And And very interestingly, when the lockdown happened in India on 25th or 24th of March, we almost came down to 20,000 orders per day. But then quickly, thanks to all the support we got from all the agencies and our COVID warriors, the delivery boys, we could quickly bring our business back. And today we deliver more than 320,000 orders per day. We deal in more than 400 fruits and vegetable units, SKUs, and we have clocked a volume of 18,500 metric tons on a monthly basis during this pandemic. So interestingly, during this pandemic, our business has actually grown 2x plus. And today we do rupees 1 billion of F&B revenue per month. And as a company, we are clocking almost $100 million per month in revenue. We have a very strong play with our farmers in India, and we have more than 10,000 farmers from whom we procure all our domestic produce directly. For the international produce, of course, we have good relation now with very established brands and players across many countries. And as a result, we have more than 18% contribution to our total value coming from fruits and vegetables alone. So you would realize that fruits and vegetable happens to be the most important category in Big Basket. So the supply chain, as we have worked and as Sumit also pointed out, the online platform gives us an opportunity to completely disintermediate the value chain. So you have farmer on one end and the customer on the other end. And what we have done in Big Basket, and this is what I want to really call out, is we have tried to reach to the customer in every possible manner. So today we have three distinct line of businesses. So we have what we call BB Daily. BB Daily is a subscription model wherein a customer can order anything up to 7 p.m. in the evening, and he is delivered at his doorstep at 6 o'clock early morning before he gets up. So this is a service which traditionally people use for milk deliveries in India. And what we have done is we have expanded this to all the entire range of products. And interestingly, fruits and vegetables are seeing the best traction on this model, which is BB Daily. BB is our full service model wherein we service all 60,000 products across across the country. And this is where we deliver in slots which a customer can choose as per his convenience. And recently we have started what we call BB Mandi, which is basically a model wherein we are servicing the unorganized retailers in the market. So as I said, despite the shift from physical retail to online, which is happening during pandemic, and no one knows how it's going to finally pan out, my sense is that while online would gain disproportionately as against modern trade, but the unorganized retailer in India would still have a very large play. And that is because of the inherent nature of the way our society is structured. So hence we have launched this model of BB Mandi, and so it gives us an opportunity to have a very wide play as far as fruits and vegetable is concerned across the board. I'm very proud and happy to share that we are able to make the produce reach the customer in the shortest possible time. We are able to give the best realization to the farmers for their produce. Of course, this is more relevant for the domestic ones, but I'm sure even for the international trade, our partners would bear that we have been a very, very good, kind of a partner to work with in India in terms of consistency of demand and consistency of the entire experience. So for bringing this consistency, one key initiative that we took in 2017 was to set up a facility in a place called Anantapur, which is 200 kilometers north of Bangalore. Now this is in a way central to our business because a large share of our business comes from South India. this facility actually did was it allowed us to bring in produce directly from different geographies and disaggregate them to distribute to different distribution centers. So we have been able to handle almost 1,800 metric tons of produce in the month of May. As I said, our volumes suddenly grew 2x over a period of 2 to 3 months. And we could really grapple with those volumes because we had built this infrastructure.
Vipul?
I would call up.
Vipul? Sorry, could you go just a little slower, please?
Yeah, sure, Sharif. So what I would like to call out here, Sharif, is that we are a infrastructure-led company. So while we are online, we are not a marketplace or we are not a B2B. So our entire business is dependent on two factors. One, of course, is the demand from the consumer. But simultaneously, it is important that we have the infrastructure in place in terms of our distribution centers, in terms of our delivery vehicles, in terms of our delivery boys. Now, what I'm trying to share with all of you is that during this pandemic in the last over 5 months, while the demand grew, actually it grew more than 2x. But what we could do within our existing infrastructure was to meet 2x demand. And we started simultaneously building further infrastructure. Now, even this 2x demand was made possible not because we had spare capacities, but because we innovated while this challenge came to us. So how did we innovate? We actually reduced our assortment during this time. We tried to service more customers at the cost of giving more wider choice to the customer. And I think a lot of such innovations we did, which helped us to really grow our demand to 2x. And as Sumit also pointed, I think there has been a major shift we are seeing in the consumer behavior where the customer is eating healthy. And in India, the consumer believes that fruits and vegetables make them healthy, builds their immunity. And that is why we saw a good traction on the fruits and vegetable sales. Another interesting thing which we saw during this time, Sharif, is that the fruits traction was exceeding the vegetable traction. So the share of fruits in our basket increased. And actually 4 times more customers came searching for fruits as compared to what was the scenario in January to March. So I think this trend is going to continue because I think the awareness towards health, the awareness towards fruits. Another very interesting thing we saw is that people started trying new cuisines. So a lot of exotic vegetables, exotic fruits started getting consumed. A lot of new experimentation happened at home. Lot of so all the out-of-home consumption actually came in-home, and the in-home consumption was largely healthier, largely related to fruits and vegetables. Healthy snacking became the norm. So coming back to the facility which I'm showing here, basically this infrastructure building has helped us to do a lot of work on our direct imports program. The whole initiative which we could take with Chilean fruits, we could do because we had this facility, where we could get in the container, disaggregate the container, ship it to different distribution centers, etc. And another call out which I want to make here is that in case of apple and kiwi, or let's say in a case of apples, the share of big basket to the total Indian apple imports would be less than 1%. But when you talk of kiwi, then the big basket share of the total chili and kiwi import in India would be almost 2 to 2.5%. And if you talk of blueberries, I'm sure I told you my number, which is 6 tons. You would know how much blueberries chili has exported to India, and you can do the math. I'm sure it will be much higher a number in terms of the percentage share, which a single player like Big Basket is having. So the point I'm trying to make here is when it comes to the non-traditional fruits like cherries, like avocados, like blueberries, I think we as an online player, we as an organized player have a much better opportunity to build that market for someone like you and introduce that product to the discerning customer. And then of course it percolates to the different segments of the market. And with that view, we have created this cold storage space and the ripening chambers in this facility. And we keep expanding them as per the need. So that even if we are to bring in avocado through containers, we should be able to ripen it before we make it, reach the consumer. And so the consumer is able to taste the right fruit in the right shape. Yeah. So this is pretty much what I wanted to, speak as an introduction to Big Basket. I'll be very happy to discuss and take questions and clarify any other insight which I can bring about the Indian market. Thank you so much. Gracias.
Thank you very much, Vipul, for a very interesting presentation on Big Basket, the retailer in India. Now, I'd like to ask you all to put off your microphone so that we can hear you, because now we're going to do a session of some questions from the public. I have quite a few questions that have come in. Let me start off with, we've got some questions from quite a few people. Mr. Sergio Torres asks about the opportunities for citrus in India. Mr. Guillermo Silva is asking about the opportunities for blueberries in India. And also Mr. Where is it? Mr. Jose Domingo Hidalgo is asking about the potential for organics. So basically 3 questions. 1, citrus, blueberries, and organics. How do you see the potential of those particular products or category of products in India? Would you like to start off, Vipul?
You want me to answer? Okay. So I will take the easier ones and leave the difficult ones for Sumit. So let's start with blueberries, because I already talked about our experience with blueberries. To me, as I said, these are new fruits into India. And if we do regular promotion around these fruits and also price them right, I think we have a great opportunity of building a very large market for these products. As I shared with you our own experience, we did a direct air shipment from Chile that kind of gave us the confidence of doing a lot of promotion around those products. So we actually invested in doing promotions on different different inventory that we have on our site, right? And as a result, we could grow the sales from 200 kgs per month to 2 tons per month. So you can see the kind of potential the product has. And I'm sure because it's a very sensitive product, it's a very low shelf life product. So we have to do a holistic approach in terms of building the demand on one side and tying up the supplies on the other side. Similarly, on organics, I think we did try organic fruits from some other geographies. I think the customer does understand organic in India. There is a customer who's keen to buy organics. A question is how to make it available on a consistent basis. So you need consistency both in terms of demand creation as well as in terms of supplies. I think there are few challenges on the organic certification bit. in terms of getting a recertification in India, etc. But I think those things can be sorted through the consulate in India and stuff like that. Yeah. Oranges, I would leave, for Sumit to probably, talk about.
Thank you very much, Vipul. Sumit?
Oranges, if you see, citrus is among the top 5 fruits being imported in India. In fact, in terms of volume, citrus is the number 2. After apples, it's citrus. And then comes pears and kiwis. For citrus is, I don't have a pie in front of me, but I can tell you that almost 90% is dominated by one player, Egypt. And so it's a huge competition which has come in because of Egyptian prices. But if there is work done on varietals and seasonality, there is tremendous opportunity because it's one of the most consumed fruit. It's for the suppliers and the importers and the association to put in some effort in terms of market research and market finding the right window, because fighting Egyptians on prices is not the right way to launch or promote the product. So we'll have to go a little more in depth and find its way around citrus. On organics, my input will be to be very careful. 2 reasons. One is that legally speaking, officially speaking, organic imports are not allowed. So
Yes.
When it's written organic on the phytosanitary, it creates confusion at the port of entry. So you have to work your way around, and because a lot of these organic products are not treated in the same way as a conventional is, the shelf life tends to get bad quickly or reduces. So you have to be a little more careful on organics. The consumer demand for organics is there for sure. But supply chain issues is something that you need to address.
Thank you very much, Sumit. Did you want to add anything else?
I mean, if you ask me on the priority, there are lower hanging fruits than organic. Organic should be,
Yes.
and it's very important to, like I said in my presentation also, that we need to fight. We need to figure out the battles that we want to take on. You can't take on everything and get stuck.
We have another question from Victor Maroto in regards to cherries. What are the different specifications of packaging? Is there any specific type of packaging that retailers or importers or distributors are requesting for cherries?
I mean, I can talk from I'll let Vipul answer from a consumer retail packing. But from a wholesale packing, small boxes, 5 kilos, which a small vendor can afford or take it, will be the way forward. The smaller the packing, the better it is from a wholesale pack. From a retail consumer pack, there is a lot of innovations being done by players. Plastic is a concern in India, so you have to be always careful with how you pack. But I've seen cherries get a lot more traction because of a lot of work that retailers and online players are doing.
So yeah, so I would like to add here that we as an online retailer do have this challenge where we need to pack these items. So if we are kind of saved this step of packing ourselves, then it helps. So for example, like in blueberries, it comes in a 125-gram clamshell. So if you have a similar packing for cherries, could be a 200 or 250-gram clamshell, then I think it facilitates the online part of the business. Yeah.
Also saves on the additional handling.
Yeah, correct.
Thank you very much. Vipul, you mentioned in your presentation that you have done kiwi fruit from Chile, thanks to the visit that when you came to Chile. A common friend of ours, Mr. Carlos Cruzat, is asking, basically for the online retailers, what are the characteristics in terms of size, packaging, and firmness of kiwi fruit for that particular distribution channel?
So I think the specifications are not very different, But yes, size we have stuck to the size of 30 to 36 for kiwis, 30, 33, and 36. And we have stuck to 10 kg boxes because I think that's the most kind of effective size or effective packaging for kiwi fruit. Because as I said, we have a constraint of packing it for the consumer. So we repack these kiwis in 3 pieces at our pack house and then ship it to the consumers. I think the challenge which we have in kiwi fruits, and let me warn you, and that is where the competition is going to come in future, is on the taste profile of the kiwi fruit. You know, so because it has to travel such long distance, I think we are still not there in terms of the bricks levels which we are getting, and we had the kiwis a little more sour as compared to what the customer would ideally prefer. To the extent that sometimes it is not even ripening, it is remaining very, very sour from a customer point of view. And why I say the competition is moving in that direction is because if you see this year, Zespri has worked on the yellow kiwi in India. And that is, I think, a very kind of a master stroke from their side, because they also did a similar mistake of putting a gap in the Indian market. They did a lot of promotion in the Indian market. Then they had some challenges. They kind of pulled back a year or two. And then when they had to re-enter, they found that already the market is full of Chilean and other origin kiwis. So they differentiated themselves by bringing in the yellow kiwi. So this year they have tried to, really lay their emphasis on yellow kiwi. And I think the customer response to yellow kiwi is very, very good. It has surpassed even our kind of expectations, right? Of course, it is much more expensive as compared to the green kiwi. So I think the green kiwi, if it's made, I mean, if we work on the whole the bricks profile and the taste profile of the kiwi, and I remember, I forget the name of that program, but I remember the Chilean Association was doing some program with the growers to manage this part of the game.
Yes,
Then, yeah, then we would have a much better play on the Chilean kiwi fruit. So my sense would be that we have to. I think pressure wise there was no challenge. We learned all the right things when we were there. That while you send it in a liner, plastic liner, but we should cut open the liner when we receive the product and maintain the temperature, etc., etc. So we did all of those protocols to handle the kiwi, and as a result, we did not face any challenge in terms of the quality per se, in terms of pressure, but taste is something we can work together to improve. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Vipul. I'm just going to switch very quickly to Spanish. Teníamos otra pregunta más respecto a los aranceles. La uva de mesa chilena hoy día tiene un arancel en India de un 35,2% versus otros países proveedores que están en torno al 41,5%. Y todas las presentaciones van a estar disponibles vía Sinfruit y la página web de ASOEX. Thank you very much, both of you. We've run out of time, unfortunately, but I think we've covered most of the questions of the public. So on behalf of ASOEX, we would like to thank you very much. I know it's very late in India. Thank you very much for taking your time out to participate with us live. And thank you for the very interesting presentations and your comments.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sharif. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ronald.
Thank you very much. Bueno, y vamos cerrando.
Thank you very much, people. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.
Vamos cerrando y lo dejamos cordialmente invitado al próximo seminario, que es el 1 de septiembre a las 8:30 de la mañana sobre el sureste asiático. Muchas gracias, Ronald. Thank you again to all the panelists.
Bye.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Bye.
Chao. Don Francisco está por ahí. Albornoz.